So we're going to start with a review of integers and operations with integers. So how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply and divide integers. Okay? So first of all, what does the word integer mean? You guys know what integer, when I say the word integer, what am I referring to? So integer is the set of whole numbers. Okay? So whole numbers means they're the numbers that doesn't have any decimal. So there are the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No decimal, no fractions. So there are the whole numbers, which include positive numbers and negative numbers, as well as the number 0. Okay? So we have what we call the real numbers. Okay, the real numbers are all the numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity, including decimals, fractions, zeros, positive, negatives, and everything. They're called real numbers. When I say integer numbers, I only take the whole number. So it will be the set of the numbers like negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, right? Where I don't have that negative 3.2567. Okay, there's no, you don't take these numbers. Now, when I'm adding two integers, so we're going to talk about adding and subtracting. When I'm adding two integers, if the signs are the same, then the sum will have the same sign as two numbers. So what does that mean? So let's say if I have negative 3 plus negative 5. So I'm adding two integers. This is an integer, this is an integer. This is a negative integer, but I'm adding them together. What am I going to get here?
Positive.
Nope.
Negative makes more negatives.
So if you're thinking about it this way, you owe me $3. Okay? And now you owe me another 5. That means you owe me 8. Okay? You're adding two negative numbers. That means you're going to end up with a negative number. You're going to add your integers, end up with a negative number. Another way you can think about it, is you're 3 levels below ground. Negative 3 means 3 levels below ground. Okay? And then you're going down another 5. So how many levels below ground are you now? You're 8 below. Okay? Do you guys understand what negative number means? Why is that a negative number? Like, I look at your faces and I can't tell if you do understand it or not. And I'm usually good at this. Is it a negative? What negative number mean?
And the bar of 0, positive, and negative is going backwards.
That's right.
Going backwards, right?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the number line, so we have the 0 in the middle, and then we have the positive to the right, and the negative to the left. Right? So negative means it's to the left of the 0. We're okay with that, right? Okay. Now, if I have two numbers, I'm adding them together, right? But they have different signs. So let's say if I have negative 5 plus 3, right? So you see that the 5 has a negative number in front of it, negative sign in front of it, and the 3 is positive. What are you going to do to your numbers here? You're going to subtract them, okay? So you have negative 5, so you're 5 below ground, and you went up 3. Okay? In this case, you're still 2 below ground, right? You're still at negative 2. Now, why is it negative? because the bigger number has a negative sign, so that means your answer is going to be negative. Okay? So if we're gonna look at the number line, I know that we can do this on the calculator, but at the same time, this is you to check your work if you are dealing with letters instead of numbers. Okay? So if I look at -5, right, I'm right here, and I'm adding 3 to it. So I'm at -5 and I'm adding 3. I'm adding 3, that means I'm going up. 1, 2, 3. So that means I'm gonna land at -2. Okay? So when subtracting two integers, add the opposite. What that means is, let's say if I have, this is like making it harder than it should be, but think about it this way. Let's say if you have -3 minus 2. Okay? Can you give me the answer of this? -5, right? So, I mean, what this is saying if you're subtracting, instead of subtracting, you can add -2. I mean, why would I make it harder for me? There's no reason. So I wouldn't say do this, just subtract them. Okay? Because then you're making it harder for yourself. There's no need to do that. Can you guys read this to me? Can someone read this to me?
-3 plus -2.
That's right. So you have -3 plus -2. So when I look at this, because I have a positive and a negative right after each other, right? I'm gonna have to change this to negative. Because what happens is when you have a positive and a negative right after each other, they're gonna turn into a negative. Okay? If you have a negative and negative after each other, they become a positive. So this is when you have actually two signs right after each other. Okay? So when I say negative times negative, that's going to give me positive. Negative times positive, that's negative. Positive times positive, that's positive. Okay? When you're multiplying or you're dividing integers, if the two integers have the same sign, then the answer is positive. Okay? So let's look at an example. If I have -3 times -2, that's going to be +6, right? Because what's happening is the negative times a negative is going to make it a positive, and the 3 times a 2, that's a 6. Okay? So negative times negative, even if you do a negative divided by negative, that's going to give you a positive. So whenever you have the same sign and you're multiplying or dividing, it's going to become positive.
I have a question. So it's a negative plus negative, that's a negative, right? That's a positive, right? Negative plus negative is a positive?
No.
So the integers, it doesn't
You
matter.
have to be careful here. If you have a negative and then you're adding another negative, that's going to be a negative.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is if you have a negative and you're multiplying by a negative, then this is the positive.
So what about plus minus, like negative, positive 5 plus -5?
That's a 0. Right? But if you have +5 plus -3, let's say, right? That's the same thing as saying 5 minus 3, because these two together they make the minus. Which one is bigger, 5 or 3? 5 is bigger, so your and the sign for 5 is positive, so your answer is going to be a positive 2. Remember that we talked about this right here. When you have different signs, the sum will have the same sign as the bigger number. Okay? So in this case, the bigger number is 5 and it has a negative, so your answer is going to be negative. In this case, the bigger number is 5 and the sign is positive, so the answer is going to be positive. Okay? If you understand like the number line, it should be easier for you, okay, to be able to identify what your answer is going to be. The important part, you have to identify, am I adding or am I multiplying, okay, because then this is where the difference is, okay? If you're multiplying, negative times negative is positive. But if you're adding negative and negative, your answer is going to be negative because you're going deeper down in the, down below the level, okay? If the two integers have opposite signs, then the answer is going to be negative no matter what. So if you have, let's say, negative 5 times 6, so that's going to be negative 30. Right? So I have a negative and a positive. When I multiply a negative and a positive, I get a negative. Okay?